difficulties in going to school are complex and can have a huge impact on families. We may not be able to meet all of your needs in this one short session, but we really hope we can share some current knowledge to help understand difficulties with school attendance and to help you in finding your way to support and solutions for your child. First, some statistics. In Scotland, the estimate is 31% of children experience difficulties with going to school. And you can see some other stats for England and specifically for Aberdeen on the slide. But we're thinking that's up to 10 learners in every class that are finding it hard to come to school. And so this tells us you're not alone. Many families, including my own at times, understand what this is like. And many professional bodies, including Aberdeen Education, are committed to looking at this and sharing what helps with our schools and families in Aberdeen. There are many reasons why some learners find it hard to come to school. And in this session, we're going to focus on emotional factors such as anxiety and the impact that these emotional factors can have on school attendance. And we call this emotionally based school non-attendance, or EBSNA. Another term that you might hear or see is emotionally based school avoidance, or EBSA. And you'll see both EBSNA and EBSA on our slides. Apologies for the jargon, and we will say EBSNA a lot tonight, but we mean finding it difficult to go to school. This used to be called school refusal, but young people tell us that it's not that they don't want to go to school, it's that they can't. They're not refusing, they're struggling. We always like to credit our sources. So organisations and people that have informed this session tonight include EdPsychEd, Horizons, and Dr. Jerica Holder, who's an educational psychologist in England. And you'll find further courses for parents by EdPsychEd and by Horizons online. And they're happy for us to share the content from courses that we've attended tonight with you. This slide shows the definition of EBSNA, and the descriptions might be familiar to many of you here. When learners experience significant and enduring challenges in attending school due to emotional factors, they avoid or do not come to school for some or all of the time. They show emotional distress when attending school or when thinking about attending school. And the emotional distress might show as worry and tears, or as anger and withdrawal, or as physical illness, sore tummies, headaches. Often, the children are staying at home with the knowledge of parents and school staff. The learner is telling their family and their school with their words or their actions that they're finding it hard to come to school. And schools and parents tell us that this knowledge can bring along feelings of guilt and blame. But we know that EBSNA is caused by a wide range of complex factors, and it's important that we remove any guilt, judgment, or blame from the child, the school, and from yourselves at home. EBSNA, emotionally based school non-attendance, or EBSA, as is on this slide, avoidance, school avoidance, it's a spectrum of needs with various degrees of severity. And if you look at this slide, you'll see at the right-hand end of this, we have complete avoidance of school, persistent non-attendance. Your child may not have attended school for many days, weeks, months, or even years. In the middle two sections, here we have intermittent or frequent non-attendance. Your child might be going to school sometimes or even often, but they might be late, or they might leave early, or they're missing classes or missing part or whole days. And then at the beginning, at the left-hand side of the spectrum, are children who show just occasional avoidance or even full attendance. Your child might be going to school every day, but they might be carrying a lot of anxiety. They may show this at school by leaving class or avoiding schoolwork and tasks, or they might be working well in school, but you might see their distress at home, after school, at bedtime, or in the morning before school. They may need lots of emotional support or persuasion to go to school. Children and young people can move up and down this spectrum. It can get better and it can get worse, or it can stay the same. Some children can go their whole school lives in that middle bit, with occasional non-attendance, missing a day a week, for example. And the evidence is that this will have an impact on their progress and their achievement. Take a moment to think about your own child or children that you know. I know there's some people who are working with children as opposed to being families, but yeah, take a moment to think about the children that you know or your own child, and where do they sit on the spectrum? Are they at one end or the other, or somewhere in the middle? Being aware of this spectrum can help us notice EBSNA and support it early. We don't wait until we see complete non-attendance if we can at all. The earlier, the sooner, and the quicker we act, the better we can support a return to school. And this image can also help us look for gradual improvements. It's not all or nothing. If they're attending school at all, even just some days or small parts of days, or just the first day of term, as I know some children do, they turn up on the first day of term and then they struggle to come back again. But what got them there in the first place? What is helping them there if they're attending at all? What are the resilience and protective factors in their lives at home and at school that may help them go to school? Because that's what we can build on. And I'm going to pass over to Gosha now.
Hello, everyone. Can I just check if everyone can hear me? Angela, if you could just nod your head if you can. Yes. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, yes, and I'm assuming you could hear me
Yes,
during
yes,
all of that. Yes,
yes, you could.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, perfect. So what is resilience? So resilience is the ability to manage the range of difficulties that we encounter, drawing on different protective factors. In this context, such as positive relationships with education staff and with peers, feelings of safety and trust, sense of belonging and connection within community. Resilience is about creating greater capacity within the systems around your child to better support them to bounce back from difficult experiences and challenges. The position of your child within the continuum of EBSNA that Angela has just spoken to you about can be impacted by resilience, and your child can move up and down the spectrum depending on what is happening in their life in that moment in time. School avoidance can be less and attendance can be better due to a range of resilience factors that support that child and help them to attend school. Things that will help a child attend school can, even when they are feeling anxiety and protective factors, like high level of support from school or home, school transition package, someone at home able to support them in every day, so they can manage to come to school despite their anxieties. Okay, if we can move the slide. Okay, so on the screen now, you can see a template that will be provided to you after today's session. And I would like you to take some time to consider your child's inner world and how these experiences have impacted your child on body and mind levels. So consider any thoughts that your child might have shared with you. Have they been able to share any aspects of school or home that are causing them concern or make it more difficult to attend school? How about their feelings? Have you noticed any change in their moods? Are they able to describe their feelings? How do they feel in their body when they think about attending school? What bodily states are they describing to you? What physical patterns have you noticed over time? Finally, consider the impact of these feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations on behaviors, those fight, flight, or freeze responses. Do they shut down and withdraw, begin to avoid things that make them anxious, or are they communicating their distress through some behaviors that can be challenging to manage? Your understanding of your child's perspective is key to providing support. Okay, if we move the slides. And each child can experience anxiety differently. So some may be able to share it with others, specifying their worries about school, while others' coping style may be to externalize, like I said, communicating that distress through challenging behaviors. So for example, reacting with aggression when they're thinking of going to school. Other children may feel it in physiological responses, so like Angela mentioned before. So feeling unwell, having headaches, tummy aches, feelings of dread. These are particularly prevalent in younger children. Children will often not realize what is the cause of those symptoms, so they will genuinely think that they're physically unwell. 80% of children experiencing EBSNA report co-occurring psychosomatic symptoms. Okay. And I think I'm giving the microphone back to Angela at this point.
Thanks, Gosha. So, yeah, understanding our child's anxieties can be a great help in identifying practical support and how to help. Anxiety is a normal human reaction designed to keep us safe. We are all only here now because our cave people ancestors felt anxiety and acted on it. They fought back, they ran, or they hid to keep safe. Fight, flight, or freeze until the saber-toothed tiger has gone. Anxiety is a normal emotion, but one that can become overwhelming. As Gosha said, it affects both the body and the mind, our thoughts and our feelings. We get butterflies, our heart races, we think, I can't do this, it's going to be terrible, and it can trigger our behaviour, our child's behaviour. We get furious, we argue back, we run away, we hide in our bedrooms. But while this might have saved us from a tiger, it does not reduce our anxiety in the long term. And when we calm down or come out, the school is still there and the anxiety has grown. And this is the anxiety cycle. At the top of this diagram, you can see the feelings of anxiety, thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. And these may be about going to school, or they might be about leaving the house or leaving the people at home. And the more that children think about these worries, the more they believe in them. And they look for evidence that they are right to be worried, and then the worry builds. No, we're not judging whether these worries are justified or not. These feelings will have come from the young person's own experience. At this stage, in the top circle, we need to provide support and solutions for the anxiety, or the child may move to the second circle here. They begin to avoid the source of their worries. They're trying to keep themselves safe. They stay at home or they don't go to school. But avoiding provides temporary relief from the anxiety. They do feel a bit better, but this relief is only short term and it doesn't last. The anxious thoughts have not been addressed and then they continue to grow. And the next time the child faces going to school or leaving the house, the anxiety they feel will be worse. And that's why avoiding in the second circle leads to the third circle. You see more and more avoidance. It grows and adds and builds. Now the child also begins to question their ability to cope and starts making predictions based on the worst case scenarios and playing those scenarios over in their mind. The more they avoid, the more persistent these thoughts become. It's really difficult for the child or the young person and for the family around them. So how do we break the anxiety cycle? We want to act as quickly as we can. The sooner the child stops avoiding and gets back into school, the better. However, experience tells us we can't just break this by forcing them to go back to school. We do not recommend flooding or forcing a child into school without any support or solutions to their anxiety. This may increase their distress and trigger that fight, flight, or freeze again, or trigger masking of the distress. We need to seek support and solutions for their anxiety, and we need to build their skills and resilience in going to school, even when they're feeling anxious. Help them realise they can do hard things, and we and the people around them will help them do these hard things. The image of the swimming pool here reminds us that we don't recommend they are thrown in at the deep end to sink or swim. But neither do we want them to stay standing on the outside. We want to teach them to swim, to gradually learn and build the skills and routines needed to come to school. And the more they can practice, the easier it will become. But it's not easy. As much as we would like to, we cannot remove all anxiety from our children's lives. The image of the ladder helps here. The ladder of strength and courage reminds us to break it down into manageable, teachable steps for our children to help them go to school despite their anxieties and make it feel safe for them. We want to develop coping strategies, build resilience, and learn life skills, how to cope with the challenges that life throws at us, including school, and how to feel safe while we do this. Your support and understanding, as Gosha said, are key for your child. Validating their feelings doesn't mean agreeing with their non-attendance. Active listening and emotion coaching are two ways you can listen to your child's feelings and understand their emotions while also helping them to make plans and take actions to solve their problems and to go to school. And there's a Stronger Families video on emotion coaching if you're interested in that. A tip that I like is to, and I use on a daily basis really, be curious, not furious. This puts a lot of stress on and pressure on our emotions as well as adults, but wonder about what's going on for them. Listen to your child's words and watch their body language. Use their own words back to them and ask open questions. I wonder, tell me about what else? What else is tricky about going to school? What else helps you go to school? And talk together about the actions and people that help. Try not to encourage ruminating or going over and over the worries, as this reduces problem solving. And try not to make going to school the only thing that you talk about. A trigger is an event or an experience that makes us scared, anxious, or worried. It's important that we know what our child's triggers are, because that is where we can target support and solutions. A glimmer is a small moment that helps us feel safe and calm. Glimmers can also be very important keys to support and solution. And sometimes we can overlook the glimmers. Take a moment now to try to think about any glimmers in your child's day, a person, an activity, an object that helps them feel safe and calm at home or at school. How might you use these glimmers to support your child to go to school? I'll hand over to you, Gosha.
Thanks, Angela. Okay, so push and pull factors. So let's start with a quote. So school non-attendance occurs when stress exceeds supports, when the risks are greater than resilience, and when pull factors that promote school non-attendance overcome the push factors that encourage attendance. So let's speak a little bit about those push and pull factors. So push factors are the factors pushing a child towards attending school, while pull factors are factors pulling them away from attending school. And these risk factors are not isolated to just one area. They can be seen across different contexts. So, for example, both home and school. And conversations with young people and families reveal that there are often early warning signs that child begins to struggle. Okay. If we can move on, Angela. Okay. So, predisposing risk factors. So, what are some predisposing risk factors? So firstly, I would like to acknowledge that while those factors do create a potential vulnerability to attendance difficulties, and it's important we speak about them, we do so without assigning any blame. So these are simply factors that could contribute to that predisposition and vulnerability. So there are many different factors, and these include unmet additional support needs. There may be temperamental factors, children who experience a greater degree of worry, nervousness, or shyness. Children who previously found separation difficult from a parent. There are also family-based factors. So history of attendance difficulties within the wider family. So for example, when a sibling is experiencing difficulties with attendance, parental mental and physical health, child may want to stay home with their parent, parental separation, change in circumstances, loss and bereavement, feeling they may want to be home to support family members. And there are school-based factors as well. So key transition points, so age 5 and age 11. The move from primary to secondary school, peer relationships and social isolation, aspects of school environment uncomfortable for the child, particularly amongst autistic learners who can find the social or sensory aspects of school very overwhelming. Identifying which of these risk factors are meaningful for your child helps us to know where to provide support and solutions. Okay, let me move on. Okay, triggering events. So, like Angela said, there are different triggering events as well. So EPSNA can be triggered by a specific event causing sudden non-attendance at school, or a series of triggering events as well, where EPSNA builds gradually over time. So events such as a parent becoming unwell or the child themselves being unwell, the COVID pandemic, that was a significant triggering event for many children and young people. Specific illnesses such as COVID, strep, chickenpox, where there's a change in the child's well-being and school attendance following the illness, change in family dynamics, or an experience of bullying. Okay, and if we go on. And lastly, we have maintenance factors. So we spoke about those predisposing risk factors and triggering events that can cause abstinence to begin. And now looking at those maintaining factors. So those factors that sustain the non-attendance. So things that make it hard to return to school or to break that anxiety cycle that Angela has spoken to you about. So once they have been away from school for a while, they may begin to feeling disconnected from school or friends, missing out on key social events or peer interactions, missing work and classes, and having new anxieties related to academic demands. They can feel bad about their situation and so have escalating mental health difficulties. Sleep patterns might be interrupted. Children might be engaging in more enjoyable activities at home, or just finding the time at home to be easier. If any of the triggering events are continuing or getting worse, they will become maintenance factors to keep that abstinence going. Okay, we can move. So it is important that we acknowledge just how complex APSNA is and not focus on one reason, cause, or trigger. We need to look at all those factors at home, at school, and for the individual, or we'll miss where the change can happen. So looking at all those factors helps us find the right support and solutions. Okay, if we move on. Okay, so the stress bucket. So in order to avoid school, children can adopt many different strategies at home. They may plead and beg the parent to let them stay home. This can make morning routine very challenging. They may take excessive amount of time to get ready, implementing various delay tactics driven by anxiety and fear. When other strategies fail, they may become upset, angry, dysregulated towards the parent. Sometimes they may feel threatened to harm others or even themselves as an expression of that distress. So the impact to the whole family can therefore be significant and far-reaching, and the family's and child's resilience factors can become stripped back. So parents often tell us that they feel blamed for child's absences, and they feel their parenting skills are being criticized. So the anxiety cycle can have a huge impact on the child, but also on the parents and the carers. So the stress bucket represents our capacity to withstand different stresses. So as you can see on the slide on the left, we start with an empty bucket in the morning, and it proceeds to get full as we encounter daily stresses like job problems, health worries, anxieties, finance difficulties. The stress bucket can be emptied at the end of the day if we have time to relax, have a good night's sleep, connect with family, and engage with things that we enjoy. But the more water is filled in our bucket, the more likely it is to overflow, as you can see on that picture on the right. Okay. If we move on. So the more stress and pressure we have on us, the more likely we are to overfill our buckets, and their emotions get to spill out in out of control ways. So some days our buckets are bigger, while other days our buckets fill up much quicker. And when your child is experiencing stress and anxiety in school, this can pose an additional stressor that can cause your family's bucket to be very full and ready to overfill. So this template that you can see now will be sent to you after the session. So you can take some time to fill out this template at home, thinking about your own bucket. And what I would like for you to do now is to just take a couple of minutes to think about that blue box. So think what helps you replenish your bucket. And are you getting time and opportunity to do this? So we'll just take a couple of minutes and we will not write any responses right now in the chat. So just do it for yourself before we move on.
Okay, Gosha, shall
Okay.
we?
Yeah, I was just about to do that, Angela. So hopefully you had some time to start thinking about that blue box, and you get some more time later on. As I said, this will be sent to you. So if we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so 5 ways to well-being. So this last task you did bring us, yes. So the 5 ways of well-being, it's the last task brings us nicely to this slide. It's a useful framework, set of 5 evidence-based actions that promote mental health and well-being in adults and children. So it's an approach that we can adopt when we think of our own well-being, as well as well-being of the kids and the whole family. So connect. So be in contact with others, be that family or friends or even neighbors. And this can look differently for different people. And it can be as simple as watching a movie together, playing games with friends and family, or even online games with like minded peers. So be active. So getting outside in open spaces, getting some exercise, going on daily walks, or playing ball with the dog. And now that we're approaching summer and nicer weather, hopefully that will be much easier to do as well. So learn, so keep learning, exercise your mind, taking time in Scrabble games, crossroads puzzles, read a book. Take notice. So be curious. Spare a moment to take in your surroundings. Be in that moment. Mindfulness based activities like art, coloring, or origami. Give. So do something nice for others. So again, this will look differently for everyone depending on different factors. So it can be contributing to the community, but it can also be doing something nice for friends and family, leaving a thank you or appreciation note for your loved ones. So again, like I said, the holidays are coming up right now. So hopefully that will make it a little bit more manageable for your family. So to make it a little bit easier, because like I said, sometimes it's easier to overfill that bucket if there's too much, that you have on your plate at one time. So perhaps just pick one of those things to focus on as we approach summer as well. Okay. If we move on. Okay. So this is a family well-being plan. And again, this template will be sent to you after this session. So this is a plan that can be completed as a family. So while acknowledging that bucket analogy that we used and those 5 ways of well-being. So with this tool, you can reflect on your own values and hopes as a family, considering what brings you closer to family well-being and what takes you a little bit further apart. So again, we won't spend any time looking at it now. It's more for you to familiarize yourself with how it looks like. And then hopefully you'll have a chance after this session to sit down and consider this as a whole family. Okay, and I think at this point, I'm giving the microphone back to Angela. Angela, you're muted.
Thank you. Got it. So we know how busy and tired parents and carers can be. So if this is all feeling a bit impossible or unrealistic, please know that it's not about trying everything at once. This session is full of things that parents tell us can help, but it's about finding the next step up the ladder in strength and courage that you and your child can take. Which of these things might work for you and your child? Which of these things will help build up a routine or increase well-being or make them feel positive about themselves and their skills? These steps might be big or small, and they'll be different for every child and every family. We're looking for the smallest step that can make the biggest change. Gosha has shared some things that you can try at home to build resilience and well-being and to support school attendance. Another thing that can be hard to do but can be really effective in supporting your child to go to school is working with the school staff. EBSNA can really challenge the home-school relationship, but supporting a child to attend school can often depend on gaining a shared understanding between home and school about what is going on and then building a shared plan of what to do now. EBSNA supports in school are all about this shared understanding leading to an individual plan of support. It's not so much about the one-to-one support for the child or therapy or counselling or weekly sessions about EBSNA, even if some of these are happening. It's more about talking and planning together as a group, home, school, and the learner too. It's really important to listen to your child's views through their words if they talk or their behaviour and actions. What do they tell us about what makes it difficult to come to school and what or who helps? In Scotland, there's a single point of contact for every child or young person. If your child is under 5 years old, this is your health visitor. If they're primary school age, it's your head teacher. And if your child is secondary school age, it's your child's principal teachers of pupil support, or sometimes called a guidance teacher. So there will be somebody who's your child's allocated single point of contact, and that's your first stop for seeking support. But there might be other key adults in school too. A teacher, a PSA, someone else in school, and of course people at home too. Thinking about some young people I know, an art teacher, a school librarian, and a modern studies teacher have all played a key role in making school feel safe and accessible. Building up plans with the school staff is essential, and then sharing these plans with your child and using your own language to build your child's trust in these plans and relationships. It's Mrs. Smith's job to keep you safe in school. Miss Anderson helps her to do this. I trust Mrs. Smith and Miss Anderson to keep you safe while I'm at work. These kind of conversations, repeating them over to help your child become secure in the plan that you've made. You might feel worried when you're in school, and you can go to the guidance space and tell Mr. Jones when this happens. Then you can tell me later when we're both at home. Or we've agreed you will leave school after break. I'll meet you at the front door. Your teachers know about this. And again, keeping it true, keeping it manageable for you with words and plans that suit your child. Pictures, lists, and objects can help too. Your school can also support access to other services, such as ACC Educational Psychology or autism outreach, Fit Like hubs, or alternative curriculum activities that may suit your child. They can also access the Central Quality Improvement Team for additional support in school and across the city. I want to spend a few minutes just talking about our own role, and this slide summarises our role. These are the 3 levels we work at, shown in the triangle on the right here: universal, strategic, and targeted. And universal means for any child, school, or family in Aberdeen City. So there's no kind of referral or anything to get into the unit. That's everybody, any school, any child, but just within Aberdeen. I always think universal is kind of a funny, but it's just Aberdeen. But anybody at any stage, any child, school, or family in the Aberdeen city. So at the universal level, our educational psychology offers we've got a digital hub and a website for staff and parents and carers. We've got a big refresh coming on that, so please look out for that. But if you go on it just now, there is information for parents and staff. But in even just a few weeks' time, it will be more accessible. So if you click on it now, enjoy looking around it, but come back soon because it will be better. We provide education staff training, and you may not know about our universal or strategic work because you wouldn't hear about it. It's happening just in the school, but it may still benefit your child. And our aim is to make long-term changes in education settings to have an impact on many children and young people. At the universal level, again, for any child, school, or family in Aberdeen, we also offer early intervention consultations called EICs. So early intervention consultations, EICs, with school staff. These are discussions about groups, classes, or topics such as attendance, or about individual learners. No names are taken at this stage, but you'll always know if we're discussing your child as an individual. The school will get verbal parental permission to discuss your child before the consultation, and the school will feed back to you afterwards. At the strategic level, we are involved in training and development with schools and the local authority. And again, attendance is a current topic. If we're going to be involved in any targeted work with your child, you will give written parental permission for this. Targeted work is the bit most people know about our job, but it's actually the smaller part of our role, as the triangle shows there. Targeted work is direct educational psychology involvement about an individual child or a young person. When we take names, we hold data, and we open a case file. We offer a consultation model contributing to gaining the shared understanding to identify barriers and next steps. We only see individual children directly if it's agreed we are the best people to do this, and we'll listen to you first and the school. We don't have a waiting list. All our involvement starts with an EIC, an early intervention consultation. When the school requests an EIC, we aim to arrange the meeting within a month. We'd love to know about other things that might help you support your child come back to school. We've got a feedback form, and there's a question at the end of the form for anything else that EPS could do. So please do share any ideas you have. Please don't share any personal information about yourself, your child, or your school. And there's further, this list here, which you'll get this after the session, provides information and links, and there's some videos and further information about attendance. And I'm kind of feeling we're almost coming to the end towards our last bit. And I think you might have come along thinking they're going to give me lots of ideas of things to try. But the message is understanding your individual child's situation, looking at what factors are causing and contributing to the non-attendance, and what are the glimmers of things that might help, and then talking together to make a plan to individualize it for your child. And that can be kind of frustrating, and I'm hoping that you've enjoyed the session, but you could feel a little bit disappointed. But that's the key to it. It's like, what is going on and what are our next steps? And understanding what's going on is what leads to the next steps. And it would be lovely if I could just go, here's the list of things that you do. But if there was a list like that, you'd have solved it long ago. These are complex situations, and your children are individuals, and it's digging deep into getting a shared understanding of what's going on that then leads to all the different things that you can try. I shall pass over to Nikki, who's going to tell us a bit more about the first item on this list, the Parent Club.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Angela and Gusha. That's great. We do already have one question in the chat, but I'll leave that for the end. So this is really just to highlight. So Angela's given you a long list of resources there, and please do be assured we will send these slides and a copy of the recording to you for anybody who's actually signed up for the course today. But this is just to let you know about Parent Club. So Parent Club is a Scottish government endorsed website. It's developed by professionals, but also the input of parents, and they provide an absolutely massive wealth of resources from early years right up to school leaving age. So it's well worth looking up for, just having a quick look for a number of topics. But they do have a very specialised area which is on about supporting attendance. So Angela, can I just ask you to go one more slide on, please? That's brilliant. So they have got several topics. So one of them is about talking to your child's school, which is what Angela has already recommended. And again, this isn't Aberdeen specific, it's Scotland specific, but it's just giving you tools and tips and ideas about how even to start the conversation if you're finding that difficult, what your child's rights are, what it is, what the types of support that the schools can possibly do. A lot of those Angela has just outlined already. So it's a little bit more of a general explanation about what that support will look like, but it ties in with everything that Angela has just explained. And can I have the next slide, Angela? Yeah, so there you go. We talked about the IBSA or the EPSNA. So this is about support. Again, it outlines a lot of the stuff that Angela has said about the types of causes of worry and anxiety that might be causing your child not to attend, and some support for those underlying issues. And I think we've got two more, haven't we? So therefore, this one's
Very interesting you to say it is not about a magic wand, Angela, because this section is also very short on the website because it's very difficult to give you tips because every situation is unique. So this particular part of the website is also quite short for that particular reason. But hopefully there are some seeds there to give you some ideas. And then is there one more slide? I can never remember. Oh, no, that's our one.
No.
That's brilliant. That's super. So,
So I would just say
yep.
related to one of the questions, if you could scan that and this QR code that's there and fill in the form, there's also an opportunity to request follow-up sessions if there's a topic that we've not covered in this very short introductory session that you would like to hear more about, or then please do list that in the form, in the feedback form, and we will do our best to meet that need.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much, Angela. Okay. I am going to stop now. I'm going to stop the recording. Stop.